Shalom, this is Levi Shore. Welcome back to Swing Good Torah. So today we're going to learn about the 10 signs before the coming of Moshiach. We're going to learn it from the Otzair Midrashim. It's very interesting. These are not as widely known. So one thing is a little bit of intro. I'm probably going to do a part 1 and a part 2 because some of the Midrashim are very long. One thing to keep in mind is there's many ways that Mashiach can come. And our tradition, our Masorah, is that there's Mashiach ben Yosef and there's Mashiach ben David. And then generally, it's a lot of the Midrashim say before the coming of Mashiach ben Yosef, Eliyahu Hanavi is going to come and anoint Mashiach ben Yosef, and then he'll eventually anoint Mashiach ben David. So that's what Mashiach means. It means anointed with oil. So the Rambam says we're really not going to know exactly how all these events unfold until it actually happens. And we'll talk about a little bit. There's some Midrashim that are conflicting in what they say. They're just telling different ways that it can all happen. And it's all based on our response at the time that it's happening. Some of these Midrashim are very, very supernatural. So that's one thing about learning Midrashim. Sometimes you can't take them always literally. Sometimes they're talking about some symbolic meaning, some deep, spiritual meaning. So we'll see that some of these things are very, very supernatural. So we'll dive in. We'll start, and it's very, very interesting. I think you'll enjoy it. So it says the Ha'os Harishon, the first sign, and it says that in the future, the Kadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, He's going to appoint these 3 kings. And these 3 kings. Now, what's interesting about 3 kings is that we have 3 nevuas. We have 3 prophecies of the war of Gog and Magog. And it seems like each one is talking about a war with one of these kings. One of these kings that Hashem calls Gog in the prophecy. So Hashem's going to appoint these 3 kings. And they're going to be Kofrim B'daitam. So they're going to deny Hashem's law. So they're going to reject the Torah. And in their law, so the laws that they're going to make up of their religion, it's going to be full of lies. They're meshakrim. These people are very, very good liars. But what's interesting, it says, Hamarim atzmam lebnei adam shehem ovdim l'hakadosh baruch hu. What's very fascinating is the Midrash says that the way they're going to appear to the world is they're going to appear like they're servants of the Holy One, blessed be He. So they're going to appear like they're servants of Hashem, ve'enam ovdim, but they don't really serve Hashem. And then it says hamisim umevalbalim kol habrios, and they're going to kind of cause people to err, probably cause people to do averas chas v'shalom, and they're going to really confuse all of the people of the world. And it says v'kofrim umos halam. Now the deniers, this could be the atheists of the nations of the world. This could be the, but basically there's going to be people that go against the laws, and this is in the nations of the world. And then it says, V'af poshe Yisrael, and even, it's very interesting, even the poshea is someone that willfully does an avera, breaks one of the commandments, one of the mitzvahs of the Torah, and they're gonna hamis ya'ashim min hagula. And it's interesting. It says the poshe, the willful sinners of the Jewish people, they're gonna give up hope of the gula. They're gonna get to the point where they think we're just never gonna be redeemed. We've been in this long exile of the Golas Edom, the Roman exile. It's been going on for potentially 2,025 years, and they're just gonna give up hope. And it says, Kofrim b'hakadosh baruch hu, they're going to be deniers of Hashem, ve'ozvim es yiraso, and they're going to kind of abandon the yira shamayim, the fear of Hashem. So it says va'al oso ador, and upon that generation, it brings a pasuk from Yeshaya, from Isaiah. It's 59:15, and it says vatichi ha'emes nederes. And this is a very famous condition before the coming of Mashiach, that the truth is going to wander off. The truth is going to be absent. And we see that this is very much the generation we're living in these days, the information we're getting from the media, from the universities, it's very skewed politically, and people have their biases. So there's not a clear truth in the world, and the Torah is not widely known in the world right now. So Mahu Nederes. And what does this mean, like Nederes? It's related to the word Eder, a flock. What does it mean? Shabale ha'emes na'asim adarim adarim. Now the masters, the masters of truth, meaning the great Torah scholars, they're going to kind of make themselves into like flocks. And we see what it means is like they're going to be hidden away in the yeshivas, and the great Torah scholars, their message, their teachings of Torah are not going to really go out to the world, and the words of truth are not going to be really known to the world. So v'cholchim aborchim umischabim. Now this is very interesting. It says they're going to go and they're going to flee and they're going to hide in caves and in tunnels of dirt. Now one thing I was thinking recently is with last like almost 2 years of war in Eretz Yisrael, in the land of Israel, I mean, we see people a lot, they're hiding in bomb shelters. I never really considered it, but it could be like, this could be some of the meaning. It's a state of like constant war and people are hiding away. V'na'asafim kol gibori ador. And all the strong of that generation, they're going to gather themselves. Ubatlu anshe amuna. And this is very scary. And they're going to like nullify the people that have amuna in Hashem. There's going to be a war on the Jewish people that are upholding the Torah. V'nig nazim sharei chakma. And they're going to hide, this is very scary, they're going to hide all the gates of wisdom. So it seems like somehow like the Torah teachings are going to be, it's going to be a time where like there's some kind of hiding of Torah from the world. V'ha'olam omeid meshuna or a meshomei. And the world is going to be very empty, desolate at that time. There's not going to be a lot of Torah that's going out to the world. And if you really think about like the mass media, the international mass media, there's not really a lot of Torah being taught. Okay, so the Osos Man, it's interesting. So it's going to talk more about this time. And it says, Ein melech v'lo nasi b'Yisrael. There's going to be no king. There's going to be no prince of any of the tribes in Israel. Shnamar, and it's going to bring a pasuk from Hosea. This is Hosea 3:4. And it's going to say, Ki yamim rabim yeshvu b'nei Yisrael. It says, because for many days, like the children of Israel, they dwelled. Ve'ein melech, ve'ein sar. There was no king, there was no minister. Ve'ein zevach, no offerings. Ve'ein matzeva, and there was no like altar. So we see, right, it's been almost 2,000 years since we've had the Beis HaMikdash, since we had the temple, and we've been in this state of kind of like destruction for a long time. So this is very scary. Velo Rashi Yeshivos, and there's going to be no head of the yeshivas anymore, no Rosh Yeshivas. Ugon Yaakov, and no like great, like a genius in Yaakov and the Jewish people, no great Torah scholars. And unfortunately, right, we've seen like many of the Gedolim are nifter, over the last few years, and we're holding on to the last few of the Gedolim, but it's a scary time where we don't have a lot of the great Gedolim anymore, like a Rav Chaim Kanievsky, like just a great, a Torah scholar. It's very interesting. It says, "V'lo ro'im ne'emanim." There's going to be no faithful shepherds, no leaders of the Jewish people. They're going to be really faithful, like leading, like the great leaders we had in the past. V'lo chasidim. A chassid, there's the chasidus, but the classical translation of a chassid is there's a tzaddik, someone that never listens to the Yetzer Hara, and a chassid, he even goes beyond that. Like he serves Hashem like to the fullest. Ubali Hashem, and no people of great name, doing like great acts of kindness and doing the mitzvahs in a great fashion. So v'nin alim dalse shekakim, and the gates, the doors of heaven are going to be locked. And what this means is v'nis garim shari parnas v'kalkala. So it's going to close the gates of, like, people are not going to make a lot of money, and there's not going to be a lot of kalkala, which is a lot of produce. So it's going to be a time of like great economic distress, and it seems like there's going to be almost like some kind of like a famine. And we see now like the price of food is high inflation. It's going up a lot. So bisman shemashiach yigale b'gvuraso, and in this time, the Mashiach, he's going to be revealed in his strength. So dor cholek v'nofel b'kivro b'chayav. This is very scary. It's a generation that goes and falls into his grave in his life. Mifnei gezeros kashos, because there's going to be these harsh decrees. Umeshunos umevochalos shegozrim shalosha malachim halu. Now these kings, they're going to make very harsh, they're going to make all kinds of terrifying decrees, and it's doesn't sound pleasant. Okay, so furthermore, shegozrim lichpor b'mikdash, and they have decrees to deny, like the base of Mikdash, to deny the temple, b'Hashem, to deny Hashem. So these are what's called a shmad. It's a religious persecution. There's going to be harsh decrees to deny the temple, to deny Hashem, u'b'Torah, to deny the Torah. V'hakadosh baruch hu gazar shetimloch malchus harasha tisha kodashim mekipa lekipa. And the Holy One, blessed be He, like Hashem Himself, He's going to make this decree that these evil kings, this evil kingdom, that it will rule for 9 months from one hemisphere to the other hemisphere. So there'll be complete rule, complete control over the world. Now it's interesting. It says in Masechta Vodazara Beis Amud Beis, there's a Tosfos that talks about why is the Persian Empire and why is the Roman Empire, why are they still here, or especially why is the Persian Empire still here before the coming of Moshiach. And it's a very famous Tosafos that says that Persia, Iran, is going to fall into the hands of Edom, probably meaning America, the great power of Edom right now. And then it seems like America would rule the world for 9 months. So Shnei Lechein Yitneim Ad Eis Yoleda Yolada, and therefore they'll be given like into a time of this like childbirth, and this is what's called the birth pangs of Mashiach. So, I mean, I know like President Trump's been accused a lot of being like a Nazi and a dictator, but really he has done good things for the Jewish people. But if Chas v'Shalom, and we do live in this great time of political instability, but we see that there's some people that don't like Jews from the right, I'd really call them the nationalists, and then there's some Jews that are very anti-Semitic also on the left, and they're the progressives, the socialists, and unfortunately it's not hard to see how if there was someone that you unite these factions, I mean, they would truly be a national socialist, a Nazi, and it would not be good. And if like a wicked person got control of America, got control of like the most powerful military on the planet right now, we could see how it would be very, very disastrous. It would be a very evil time. So it says that ein lachein, and then it's interesting. The Midrash teaches something that anytime the Torah says lachein, therefore, eila shavua, it says usually it means a 7-year Shemitah cycle, and it gives an example, and it says Shnei. And it says that this is in Shmuel Aleph, Samuel 1, 3:14, if you want to look it up. It says, V'lachein nishbaiti lebeis Eli. And therefore, I swore to the house of Eli, who is the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. And it's here, it's just a commentary that could be like a 7-year period instead of a 9-month period. So it's going to be a really evil time. Hopefully that would be a 9-month period. Okay. So the Gozrim Gezeros Kashos, and they're going to, like these 3 kings, they're going to decree these very harsh decrees. V'choflin mas al Yisrael al echad asara, and they're going to compel this tax on Israel, on the Jewish people, and it's interesting, 1 to 10. So this is very scary. It says Misha Haya Nosein Asara, so someone who could give 10. No sein mea. They force that person to give 100. So then you see they're creating, they're taxing people into debt, great debt. V'chol mi shehaya no sein shemona. So someone who could give 8, no sein shemonim, then he has to give 80. V'chol mi she'ein lo, but someone that has not much money at all, choskin es rosho, they just cut off his head. So it's very scary times. I mean, this is like the old style persecution. I mean, it sounds like a lot like the Nazis, Yamak Shema, very scary. So v'chol elu tisha chodashim, so these 9 months, mis kadshos gezeros achar gezeros. So there's going to be decree after decree. And it's talking about a very scary time. I mean, this is what we've seen like with the Nuremberg laws in Nazi Germany, just these harsh decrees. Like this is the most recent. We've seen them in modern history. So zo kasha mizo, and this one's harsher than that one. So v'yotzim b'nei adam misof ha'olam. And now this is very strange, very supernatural. We'll talk about this could have like a symbolic meaning. And there's going to come B'nai Adam, which is saying there's people, which is very interesting. And they're going to come from the end of the world. Shehem mechoarim b'yoser. These people are very ugly. V'chol mi sharo osam meis mipachtam. And anyone that sees them dies from fear, dies from terror. Ve'enam sarichim le'asos milchama. And they're not able to make war with these people. They're so terrifying. So ela b'fakdam mis akol. And these people, the great fear, like they kill many people. V'kol echad v'echad. So yeshlo. Now this is very strange. And so what I'm saying is it could have some symbolic meaning. We'll talk about it. V'yeshlo shnei kad kodim v'sheva einayim v'heim dolkim ka'esh v'kalim kitzavayim. So this could be some kind of supernatural creature. It's interesting, it says B'nai Adam, but here it's saying that these creatures, or whatever they are, they would have 2 heads and 7 eyes, and they would be burning with fire, and they would be very made quick or light, and they would be like many colors. So to give an idea of how this could have symbolic meaning, so there's a lot of nevuah, a lot of prophecy that talks about creatures or Edom having they're completely covered in eyes. So that could have a great symbolic meaning. And if we look at the times we live in this age of surveillance where there's many eyes, there's many cameras, all over that see that everything that a person's doing. So there could be some kind of symbolic meaning here, like the 2 heads. We don't always have to take it literally. I mean, I don't know. It could be talking about some kind of supernatural creations, or it could just be that they're going to have like some kind of like military and technological supremacy. And but it's going to be very strange, whatever it is. So v'oso sha'a soakim Yisrael v'yomrim. So the Jewish people, they're going to cry out, say vai. They say oi, uketani mi Yisrael misba'atim. And the small, like this could be not just the young children, it could be talking about like those that are like small in Amunah and trust in Hashem, like they're going to cry out and they're going to be very afraid. V'cholchim v'nitmanim kol echad v'echad tachas aviv v'tachas imo v'yomrim. So it could be talking about the children here. It says they're going to go underneath his father and underneath his mother, and they're going to say vai, like oi, abba not. Manaseh, like Father, what should we do? V'avoseihem meshivim lahem, and their father is going to answer them, and they say Ata v'yanachnu samuchim legulasam shel Yisrael, and the father is going to have a very interesting response. They say, now we rely on the redemption of Israel, the redemption of the Jewish people, meaning the Geula is here. If we see such harsh times, we know that the Geula started. All right, so va'osa sheni. So this is the second sign. So maybe a Kadosh Baruch Hu chom be'olam. The Kadosh Baruch Hu is going to bring a great heat into the world. Gadol mechamasa shel chama. It's going to be greater even than the heat from the sun. So im shachafes v'kadachas. And it's going to bring with it some kind of illnesses that have like a great fever. So it could be shachafes sometimes is translated as like tuberculosis, but it's talking about some kind of disease that has very high fevers. I mean, tuberculosis, I think people can cough up blood. There's great fatigue. There's pain. Kedachas is sometimes translated as malaria, but illnesses relating to fever, like very high fever. So v'rabim cholaim ra'im v'dever magefa. And then there's going to be a lot of illnesses, a lot of plagues, pandemics, epidemics that are coming into the world. It's going to be a lot of illnesses, evil illnesses, and dever, like a plague, and Megefa. So, I mean, we saw, right, unfortunately, with like coronavirus, so it would be something like that. But it sounds like it'd be much worse. Umemisim me umos haolam, and then the people that would die from the nations of the world, elef alafim b'chol yom. So it'd be 1,000 thousands. So I believe that would be 1,000,000 people every day. So it'd be some like horrifying pandemic, but it would be very destructive. And let's see, v'chol v'rshayim should be Yisrael mesim. And this is interesting. It says like the evil people in the Jewish people, they will die. This could be referring to the Erev Rav. So like Hashem will start to remove the Erev Rav from the Jewish people. Ad sheyibku umos halam v'yizaku, until the nations of the world will cry. They'll be crying and they'll scream out to Hashem, Oy lanu, woe to us. Ana neilech v'ana nivrach. Like, where can we go? Where can we run away to? Where can we escape this? V'chofrim kol echad kivra b'chayav. People will dig their graves in their lives. I mean, people will be just so scary of dying of this plague. V'sholim es nafsham lamus, and they will request that their souls to die. So this is not a fun time. It's gonna get better. I mean, it doesn't have to happen like this, but it's showing the scariness of the Gula, and this is much like what was in Egypt, or what we experienced in the Persian Empire in the days of Mordecai and Esther. So umis chabim b'sechichim uvid serichim, and they'll hide in I don't know if this is like a desert area. They're going to hide from the heat somewhere, so maybe somewhere cool, like in a cave. I don't know what it means, like a wilderness area or in a tower, so you can see people hiding in like skyscrapers or fortresses, just away from the heat. Uvorkin kedei litzanein esamam. They're just going to try to flee in order to they can like cool themselves off or hide themselves away from this like great heat. Uvayim b'maros uvemechilos afar, and they'll come into caves and tunnels of dirt. So maybe anywhere underground where the heat won't be as oppressive. V'im tomar ech yinatzlu hatzadikim mechom hakama. How will the tzaddikim be saved from the heat of the sun? So HaKadosh Baruch Hu yaseh lehem refuah b'osachom. This is very interesting. The Holy One, blessed be He, He's going to make a healing from that heat. So just as we saw the 10 plagues in Egypt, even though the plagues were very destructive to the Egyptians, they were healing to the Jewish people. So all those that have emunah, have a trust in Hashem, like it'll be healing to them and not destructive. So Shnei Amar, it says this in Malachi 3:20, V'zarcha lechem yirei shemi shemesh. And he like shone for all them those who like fear my name, the son tzedakah, like a son of righteousness, son of charity, umarpe bichnafeka, and it heals in its wings. So the rays of the sun could be very destructive, kill people that don't have trust in Hashem. But for those that fear Hashem's name and trust in Hashem, the sun's actually going to be healing to them, which is very interesting. V'al oso edus niba bilam arasha, and this is what was testified in the prophecy of the evil Bilam. It says, Oy mi yichiyeh mi simo kel. Woe to one who will live, like oy, like woe, like who will he make live from the name of God. Okay, so that's the second sign. So now, the os hashlishi. So this is the third sign. So Kadosh Baruch Hu mori tau shel dam. Now this is interesting because it says like Hashem's going to bring down like a dew of blood. Now it says in the Midrash Yalkut Shimoni, it says in the Midrash Tanchuma, that just as in Egypt when the Gula, the Shlema, the future redemption happens, that there's also going to be some type of 10 plagues again, and these are going to be global. So the first of the plagues in Egypt was something with the blood of the Nile, and here is some kind of rain or dew of blood. V'yera'eh le'umos ha'olam kamo mayim. But it's very interesting. So it says it's going to look to the nations of the world like it's just regular water. V'yishtu mimeno v'yamusu. And they're going to drink from this water and they're going to die. They're not going to see it as blood. So it's very interesting because it's a lot of Midrashim talk about the plague of blood in Egypt. And it said like to the Jewish people it was water, but to the Egyptians it was blood. But here, for some reason, like people aren't even going to see it as blood. They're not even going to know they're drinking blood, which is going to be interesting. So it's going to kind of be a plague of blood that, according to this Midrash, is not visible. So v'af rishe Yisrael hamis yashim and hagula. And then once again it says the wicked of the Jewish people, they're going to despair from the redemption. So yishtu mimenu v'yamusu. And they'll drink from the water and die. V'sadikim hamakazikim biyamunaso shel kadosh baruch hu. But the righteous who strengthen themselves in the trust in Hashem, einam nizokim klal. They're not going to be hurt at all from this blood. So Shneamar v'hamaskilim. So now he quotes from Daniel 12:3. It says, very famous pasuk, v'hamaskilim yazhiru kazokar rikia. And the intelligent ones, the enlightened ones, they are going to shine like the great brilliance of the heavens. So v'yichio kol halam dam, and it will be that all the world is blood, kol osam hashalosha yamim, for 3 days. So Shnei b'Yoel, so it says in the prophecy of Joel, of Yoel, and this is 3:3. V'nasati mosim b'shamayim, and like Hashem saying, I place wonders, miracles in the heavens, uva'aretz, and on the earth. So dam va'esh v'simros ashan. So blood, fire, and now this it's very interesting. Columns of smoke, but it's the root of that word timros is tamar, like a palm tree. So if you think about the palm tree, like you have the trunk and then it spreads out. So I think here some kind of could be talking about some kind of massive explosions. I mean, we usually call them mushroom clouds or the big smoke clouds of a conventional explosion, or it could be some kind of supernatural explosion that looks like some kind of palm tree when it explodes. Okay, so now this brings us to Os Haravi, to the fourth sign. So here it says, Hakadosh Baruch Hu mori tal shel refua l'rapos adam. Now Hashem is going to bring down a dew, but this time it's going to heal everyone that needed healing from the blood, what we saw before. V'yishtu mimeno habenonim v'yis rapu mechalya. So here it's interesting. It's saying down the average people, they're going to drink, and now they're going to be healed from their illness. Whereas we said before that the tzaddikim, they're not injured at all, but here, the average person, not the great tzaddikim, they're damaged somewhat. Only the wicked die from it, but the average person needs to be healed. So now the average people are healed. So Shnei, so it says in Hosea, it's 14:6. So Ichiyeh Katal Yisrael. So Hashem says, I will be like the dew to Israel, to the Jewish people, Yifrach Kashoshana, and they will blossom like a rose. V'yach Sharashav, and their roots will strike out, Kelevanon, like the Lebanon, like the temple. All right, so now I think we're going to end it. We'll do a part 1. We're going to end it on the 5th sign, and then Bezrat Hashem will do a part 2. Okay, so Va'os HaChamishi, and the 5th sign, Hakadosh Baruch Hu Machazir Es Hashemesh L'Choshek Shloshim Yom. So now this is very interesting. So now this is some kind of it says it's some kind of plague of darkness, where Hashem is going to turn the sun to darkness for 30 days. So if there is these 10 plagues, like it says, in the Midrash, Yalkut Shimoni and the Tanchuma, so it could be that we just saw the blood is the first plague, the darkness would be the 9th plague. So these Midrashim is not fully speaking out each one of the plagues, but it could be in this time is the 10 plagues. Okay, so it says Hashem's going to turn the sun to darkness for 30 days. Shnei, so it says it in Yoel 3:4. It says Joel, prophecy of Joel. Hashemesh yechafek lechoshek, that the sun will be turned to darkness. V'ha yareach lidam, and then the moon will be turned to blood. So the moon for 30 days will look blood red. So achar shloshim yom, and after these 30 days, Hakadosh Baruch Hu machaziro likadmusu, and they'll return to the original state after 30 days. So Shnei, so it says in Yeshaya, so it says in Isaiah 24, 22, V'usfu aseifa asir albor. Now it's talking about they will gather a gathering, and there will be a captive in the dungeon. Visugru al masker, and they'll be like locked into a prison. Umerov yamim yipakedu, and then from the number of days they'll be remembered. Umis pachadim umos halam, the nations of the world will have great fear during this time. Umis baishin, and they'll kind of be embarrassed. V'yodim shebishvil Yisrael kol ha'oso sa'ela, and they're going to have a knowledge that all this is happening because of Israel, because of the Jewish people, and these are all signs. So they're going to kind of have an understanding now, just like they did in Egypt, that Hashem's bringing these plagues on mankind, and He's doing it for all the people that were oppressing the Jewish people. Like we said before, like there was these 3 wicked kings, and they were imposing these harsh decrees on the Jewish people, and they're going to see that there's, now there's like supernatural payback for all the evil that was done against the Jewish people. So v'rabim mehem misyachadim baseser, and many of them are going to be hidden or something in secret. So it says Shnei, so it says in Yonah 2:9, Jonah. So mishamrim havle shav, and they're going to guard their false luxuries. Chasdam yazovu, and they're going to forsake their kindness. So they're not going to appreciate all the blessings maybe they had in the world, like all the wealth or all the luxuries they had, all the kindness that had been done to them by Hashem, and now they're going to kind of be embarrassed, and and they're going to understand that these first 5 signs are supernatural, and Hashem's punishing the evil in the nations for the wicked things they did to Jewish people. Okay, it's very interesting. I hope you enjoyed it. So B'ezrat Hashem, we'll do a part 2 soon. Like, share, subscribe. Let me know what you think about it. And hope to see you back again soon on Sweet and Good Torah. All the best.